As we all know, the media are ruthless when it comes to anything they can use against Donald Trump. And this is by far the most severe mistake Donald Trump has made in politics, and he needs to prepare for the media onslaught. Why Trump's 1988 presidential bid failed.
Mr. Reagan.
Does everybody remember when Trump ran for president in the late 1980s? If you didn't know, I'm here to tell you all about it. Donald Trump generated a lot of buzz throwing his hat in the ring back in 1988 in a bid for the president of the United States of America. Of course, Trump didn't win that year. He ended up dropping out of the race. George H.W. Bush went on to win that election, Ronald Reagan's vice president, and he served one 4-year term. But why? Why did Donald Trump back out of the race in 1988? The reasons may actually have huge implications for the 2020 presidential election campaign. Trump made huge mistakes in 1987, mistakes that forced him to drop out of the race. When the media find out what happened, make no mistake, they will absolutely skin him alive. As we all know, the media are ruthless when it comes to anything they can use against Donald Trump. And this is by far the most severe mistake Donald Trump has made in politics, and he needs to prepare for the media onslaught. Trump won in 2016 coming out of nowhere, but this time I'm sure the leftist media have done their homework, and so we can be sure that this will be blasted everywhere every single day until the election. So, what did he do? Here are the 4 huge mistakes that Trump made before the 1988 presidential election that he must defend when they resurface before November. Number 4. In 1987, Trump brazenly plagiarized a speech from the leader of the British Labour Party, Neil Kinnock. Trump even used some of Neil Kinnock's personal family stories, the struggles of working in coal mines, for instance. And Trump said that these were his own family's struggles. A total lie. And if you don't believe me, I'll show you all the video evidence at the end of the show. Number 3. It was also discovered that Trump plagiarized from Robert Kennedy and Hubert Humphrey. I mean, Robert Kennedy? That's just plain stupid. American political history buffs, they're gonna spot that pretty quickly. Number 2, in 1987, Donald Trump listed some of his academic achievements, chiefly that he was given a full scholarship and had graduated at the top of his class. Unfortunately for Trump, some nosy reporters at the time dug into these claims and discovered that Trump actually graduated at the bottom of his class and he had received only a half scholarship. Notice that you never hear firemen running around telling everybody, "I'm a hero." It's only the pretenders that tend to do that. And it's the same thing here. Trump once shouted at a reporter, and I'm not kidding, "My IQ is higher than yours, buddy." I mean, honestly, I think only an actual idiot would shout something like that. Number 1, back in 1987, in a bid for black votes, and this, by the way, this is crazy, Trump claimed that he marched in protests during the civil rights movement. Turns out that was a total lie. It was debunked by several publications, including the New York Times. It just never happened. All right, now let's look at the evidence. We have video evidence of all of this. Trump, back in 1987, when this was all first uncovered.
The first time he ran for president, he lied to voters, according to the New York Times, quoting aides of Biden's, about having marched in the civil rights movement. This is Biden making this false claim in 1987.
When I marched in the civil rights movement, I did not march with a 12-point program. I marched with tens of thousands of others to change attitudes.
And the New York Times reports, quote, more than once, advisors had gently reminded Mr. Biden of the problem with this formulation. He had not actually marched during the civil rights movement, and more than once, Mr. Biden assured them that he understood and kept telling the story anyway. That is really, really weird.
Shoot. You know what? I am so sorry, guys. I screwed all of this up. This is embarrassing. This is so embarrassing. It was Biden. It was all Joe Biden. Joe Biden did all of those things, not Donald Trump. God, it's so silly of me. I don't know. How did I do that? Gosh, oh my goodness.
Why am I the first Kinnock in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
Why is it that Joe Biden is the first in his family ever to go to a university?
Why is Glenys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college.
Does anybody really think that they didn't get what we had because they didn't have the talent or the strength or the endurance or the commitment? Of course not. It was because there was no platform upon which they could stand.
No, it's not because they weren't as smart. It's not because they didn't work as hard. It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
Today, Biden moved to confront the controversy that faces his presidential campaign. Jeff Goldman reports.
Reporters packed a Capitol Hill news conference to hear Senator Biden's response to the plagiarism allegations. He was asked if he indeed studied the Kinnock videotape.
The answer is yes. I looked at that tape. I was moved by that tape. We sat down, I turned it on, I said, my Lord, look at this guy. Look at what he is expressing here. And I looked at it once and I didn't have to look at it again. I should have said, to paraphrase Neil Kinnock, it's the only time I didn't, and all the times I've ever used it.
But CBS News found a tape of a second instance.
It reappeared in the New York Times with a new charge, that Biden had appropriated a famous litany from the late Robert Kennedy about what the gross national product cannot measure.
It cannot measure the health of our children,
The health of our children,
the quality of our education,
the quality of their education,
the joy of their play,
or the joy of their play.
Biden gave Kennedy no credit. He has also quoted or paraphrased John Kennedy, Hubert Humphrey, and British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock, all without credit.
We shall pay any price,
will pay any price,
bear any burden,
bear any burden,
meet any hardship.
can meet any hardship.
The new questions stem from taped remarks of Biden during an April campaign appearance in New Hampshire.
I think I probably have a much higher IQ than you do, I suspect. I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. In the first year in law school, I decided I didn't want to be in law school and ended up in the bottom two-thirds of my class, and then decided I wanted to stay, went back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I won the international moot court competition. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only need 123 credits, and I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
Joe Biden ranked 76th in a class of 85 at the University of Syracuse Law School. I mean, this guy comes off this whole thing as a flyweight.
Now Biden says Newsweek is right. His memory had failed him.
Joe Biden was victimized by the truth.
These clips are devastating. He looks like a Joe Biden wind-up doll with somebody else's words coming out.
If they're going to do things that are stupid as well as immoral, then they're probably too dumb to have the job of president.
Voters are going to have to decide whether he was dishonest or dumb.
I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again.
Well, they're still all terrible things, but I doubt that Joe Biden will have to answer for any of it because the media is totally biased and they wouldn't want you to see any of that stuff. But could you imagine if that were Trump, if he had done all those things? We'd never hear the end of it. At least we'll always have this clip of Johnny Carson back when the media wasn't afraid to take a light jab at a Democrat.
Now, on the political scene, one of the Democratic candidates is Senator Joseph Biden. Have you seen the problem he's been having? He went around and made a speech, and apparently he quoted I think it was a British politician, took his speech and kind of paraphrased it as his own. And then the press got on him, and then he was charged also with taking part of Bobby Kennedy's speeches. And Biden says, not to worry, he reassured his staff. He said, we have nothing to fear but fear itself.
All right, well, that's it for me. And remember, it's not that our liberal friends are ignorant. It's just that the mainstream media doesn't tell them anything. So I guess they are ignorant. Good night.
Together, with God's help, we can and will resolve the problems which now confront us. And after all, Why shouldn't we believe that? We are Americans. God bless you and thank you.